This podcast is called Obsessed. Joseph Scrimshaw and his guest get some secrets off their chest. You should listen. It's the best.
Hello and welcome to Obsessed with me, Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm sitting in my home with a comedian, a writer, a very good human being, Joe Starr.
Hello, sir.
I'm experimenting with my intro because sometimes I say awesome human being and people don't like that.
No, you know what? Very good was fine. Like it was honest and
I felt guilty as I was saying it though. Like I would say like maybe a B minus human being is the way it came out.
I'll take a 7.
I'll take a 7.
He's a 7 of a human being.
I'm gonna just start doing that without any explanation, just rating people by numbers. I'm sitting in my home with a 13.
with a mild 5.
A mild 5. A disgusting 2. That would be not a great introduction.
No.
But I'm happy to be here with a 7. Can you tell people a little bit about who you are?
My name is Joe Starr. I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky, and moved to the West Coast and did stand-up for about 10 years with no real traction or momentum, and then am lucky enough to have just this year, which we are now closing out, sort of have had like the best, without question, the best professional year of my life. I started working at Junkies as one of the writers of Honest Trailers.
It's awesome.
You know that like we're not good at talking about good things ever, so like it's
especially after 10 years.
It hurts your comedian small talk a little bit, where it's like, what have you been up to? And you're like, usually it's like
career's good, marriage is good.
Just grinding and just really kind of work. And so this is the first time like I've been like, things are kind of okay right now. So writing Honest Trailers and like a million other shows for them. We've been doing this roast series, which you've been writing on as well a little bit and appeared on.
I got to be Superman, which was awesome.
Man of Steel Superman, that was great.
Super bitter Superman.
Oh, so good. And
you guys were nominated for an Emmy? Is
yes.
That right? For writing, is that specifically for Honest Trailers?
For Honest Trailers,
okay.
Yeah. Which is so dumb. It was the first year that they did web series, and so it was like Us and Epic Rap Battles.
Okay.
Game of Thrones from Funny or Die.
Oh, wow.
And then a thing James Franco does. I don't know what it's called.
It's probably just called The Thing James Franco does.
Yeah, I think that's all of his. That's how you refer to all of his projects.
All of his movies should be called
the other thing that James Franco did. You mean that? No, the other one.
The one where he's a teacher and gave talks.
No, the other. Oh, the other James Franco.
Oh, the other.
Oh,
God. Yeah. The bad movie. Right.
Yeah. Duh. And then Steve Buscemi's Park Bench, where he sits on a park bench and talks to people. And
I didn't even know that existed. And now my world is richer.
I didn't either, but the Emmy voters went down the list and said, that's a name I know. And Steve Buscemi won the first web series Emmy, which is fine.
Did going through the process of, the media world is changing and things like Honest Trailers that are clearly insanely popular numbers-wise being invited into what used to be the internet was not allowed into. Did you get a peek into how the actual industry feels about Honest Trailers? If they are aware that if they have a hit movie, it's going to be made fun of on Honest Trailers?
We have, I think even before that, you do a little bit. We have kind of fun relationships with a few writers and directors.
Oh, okay.
Who are Zach Stentz, who wrote X-Men First Class and Thor.
Right. He's
is
great.
Yeah, one of the guys on the CW Flash right now. Great guy. He's a good friend of the channel and the show. And originally, someone had tweeted the Thor Honest trailer to him, and he was like, "Ugh, fuck these guys. I'm so sick of this shit." And then, so then Andy, who's our nerd Steve Jobs, reached out to him and was like, "Hey, we'd love to like have you on the show, and we can actually like." Because we're all fans,
right.
And that's why I think what I think makes Honest Trailers really good is a honest over funny. Obviously honest in a funny way, but honest over just like I wrote some jokes.
Right.
So then Zach, I think, realized he was talking about a different web series and has since been a really good buddy of the show. And like the Russo brothers were big fans of us after we did a very, very complimentary Winter Soldier on his trailer.
Okay.
Came on all the time. And then we did a less complimentary Civil War on his trailer, and we haven't heard from them since.
So industry normals.
Yeah,
are
exactly.
applying to
Exactly.
honest
Yeah,
trailers.
industry norms. I did work at WB for a long time before I took the job here. And a couple weeks ago, I went and visited some friends on the lot.
Cool.
And as I was there, sitting on the Warner Brothers lot, which if you live in LA and you've never been on the back lot at Warner Brothers, you should take that tour. It's
Cool. Yeah, I
it's
haven't.
such a cool place. Oh, you have to take your wife while Stars Hollow is still up.
Yeah.
While I was like sitting on the back lot, I was also like reading through one of our drafts for the Suicide Squad on his trailer and was like, this feels dirty.
Yeah, it's like you're actually like making fun of someone while you've like shrunk into miniature and are inside them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane.
I'm not curing his disease.
Well, speaking of transforming, I think it's a pretty good segue.
Oh,
We're
man,
going to
yeah.
talk about your obsession, which is Transformers.
They are more than meets the eye, Joseph Scrimshaw. You see?
They are indeed. I think that's what most people know about Transformers. If they know nothing else,
They know
that line.
They know truck. They know red truck.
Yeah.
They know the noise. I don't know how that'll pick up on mics.
I think pretty damn
yeah,
good.
and then I think more than meets the eye.
Yeah, okay. So can you
Yeah.
explain for people who have no idea what the Transformers are? I think most people do, but
Yeah.
imagining like a strange cave person suddenly appeared in 2016.
Yep.
How would you explain Transformers?
Transformers are an 80s nostalgia-fueled franchise in which two factions of robots, one evil and one good, are in a constant war, and they turn into things. One turns into a truck, one turns into a gun. They're the leaders. Some of them turn into planes. One of them turns into a green UFO. One of them turns into a Porsche. Yeah, it's good versus evil, and everyone turns into things to quote unquote disguise themselves.
Okay.
Which, to quote the very funny comedian Sax Carr, who said, "I can't think of a better disguise than a bunch of cars sitting in a meteor crater in a circle talking to each other." Like nothing weird here. Like,
How
this
did
is
they get
fun.
down there?
Yeah.
How are they getting back up?
That Volkswagen's just stuck down there with those two trucks and that really nice Ferrari.
Yeah, one of them has no traction. Really low to the ground. That's not going to work. It's interesting to me that you say they turn into things, because I think most people's idea is they turn into cars, but they turn into lots of things.
They turn into all sorts of
So
things.
you have a
yeah.
broader perspective there.
Yeah. Look, these things have been around for like 30 years now. 84, 94, 2000. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been around
The math checks out.
forever. And you got to broaden out from cars.
You got to experiment a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you first get hooked? Was it way back in the beginning?
The odd thing is, for me, Transformers is a thing sort of like Star Wars, where like I can't remember not being aware of it. I was like I liked Transformers when I was a kid. I had I didn't have many of the toys because they were very expensive.
Yeah.
Like, you could get a shitload of G.I. Joes, but like a Transformer was kind of an investment.
Yeah, people would like blow up their G.I. Joe or Star Wars action figures. You never heard of people blowing up Transformers.
Yeah, God no.
Because that's
God no.
just like lighting money on fire.
Yeah. I do remember not knowing a lot about the actual lore when I was a kid.
Okay.
Or you know what? I did, but I made up my own based on what I had.
Okay.
You know, because I didn't have an Optimus Prime. I didn't have a Megatron. So, like,
And Megatron is the gun.
the gun.
Optimus
He's the
Prime,
leader of the Decepticons. Optimus Prime is the truck.
the truck.
The red
the
truck.
semi.
That doesn't have flames on it. Thank you very much, Michael Bay. But what I did have was I had an Autobot dragon. It was a gray, white, and black two-headed dragon that looked kind of like Gamora.
Okay.
Gamora?
I think Gamera, right?
Gamera. And
This is Godzilla, and then Gamora's Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Who I don't know what I call. I was like 6, so I probably called him like Dragon Prime or like something stupid like that. It was actually a toy called Double Cross. That's his name, because
Okay.
2 heads, you see. Double. And he was. Do you remember in the 80s for a while there were just toys where like that would spark? And that was like a feature because kids needed a flint lighter.
Yeah, just to make the world seem even more dangerous. The threat of nuclear war isn't enough. Your toys need to light on fire.
So he sparked.
Okay.
And so like he was like my biggest good guy toy, so he was the leader of my good guys. And then I had another dragon that was a Decepticon, also two heads, who was actually a Gestalt, which was those packs like the aerial bots and the Constructicons that would merge to form a larger robot, and he was like the main robot of those.
So was he just a torso when you turned him into a robot, or?
No, so he would be a robot, and then he was a dragon, and then he would also torso. We'll put a pin into that idea.
Yeah, I had no idea that there were dragon ones. Because this is, I mean, the initial conceit of Transformers is they got confused when they came to the planet and saw all of these cars and thought, that's what people are, right? So did they also see dragons and things?
So the basic, so depending on like what you're watching or reading, like some of the Transformers lore will change and shit. But the basic conceit is pretty much always Autobots try to flee the planet because they, so Cybertron's dying. That's their planet. That's their home planet of Cybertron. And this war has raged so long that there's no resources left. So the Autobots build a ship, and they throw a Hail Mary, and they leave to find resources and maybe a way to like break this weird like robot war of attrition. And and Megatron, who's just a vindictive fuck, is like, no. So they give pursuit. They board the Autobot ship, which is called the Ark. They fight. It crashes onto prehistoric Earth into a volcano, which is usually Mount St. Helen. And basically everyone's just comatose and deactivated until the 80s when the volcano erupts and it wakes up the computer system on the Ark, which is called Teletran. And so Teletran scans the planet, basically, and chooses everybody's alternate forms for them and starts reviving people.
So it's Teletran who's the dumbhead.
Yeah. Oh,
who says,
Teletran.
Be a truck, be a cassette tape, be a dragon.
So like everybody... I'm not good at streamlining thoughts. I apologize.
That's fine.
So the first cartoon, the pilot was a 4-parter called More Than Meets the Eye, and that was the very first Transformers
any content,
cartoon.
Like before comic books, before anything else, it was a cartoon.
The toys were pulled from, there was a Japanese toy company called Takara, and they had 2 lines called Diaclone and Microman. And those were the original Transformers toys.
Oh, wow.
And they weren't doing great. And so Hasbro picked up the licenses for them, and they were like, well, what can we do with these? And they passed them on to Jim Shooter at Marvel, who was the editor-in-chief at the time. And Jim Shooter is the one responsible for fleshing out the ideas of Autobots, Decepticons, and like naming them and stuff like that.
So he just pasted the story on the narrative so kids would get excited.
Exactly. So we're like in spirit, there's sort of a Marvel thing technically. Where was I going? So in More Than Meets the Eye, that starts on Cybertron. And everyone has alternate forms there too. Like they're just weird. Like
these are
future space cars and stuff like that.
They're never happy being one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So this is interesting because it sounds like your introduction to it that we were talking about was you were being creative in making stories out of the ones that you had access to. Thus getting rid of all the narrative that Jim Shooter had painfully put on in order to sell these things in the first place.
So that was when I was a kid, and then I don't remember why. You know what? Okay, so then I got really into Transformers like as a fan. Like I'm gonna obsess about all of these.
I'm gonna be
things.
The authority and know everything there is to know about them.
Much older. So when I was in high school, they restarted the series. They did like a reboot with a show called Beast Wars, Transformers Beast Wars. I don't know if you remember this or not.
I saw it once or twice.
So so Beast Wars was kind of cool, just because it started out not cool. I remember seeing a commercial and just immediately being like, "The hell is this?"
Was it early sketchy CGI animated?
Yeah. It they blocked it in an hour block with that show Reboot, which was also kind of the same. So literally it was like, this is Transformers but with animals? Like this is dumb.
They're cars, come on.
Yeah. So like the leader was literally called, he was a gorilla and he was literally called like Optimus Primal, and you're like, oh, come on. But then, so they do a twist towards the end of, I think the first season. I'd have to do a rewatch, but they do a fun twist where you find out that throughout the first season they start dropping real subtle hints to like Cybertron and stuff like that, and they're not called Autobots and Decepticons and Beast Wars.
So you're kind of waiting as a fan to see like, does this
like,
connect
what's
to the
happening?
main narrative?
So then they do this great twist where you find out they have also crashed on our Earth. After the Autobot ship crashed, they actually crashed and went through like a time portal.
Okay.
So they're from the far future, where Cybertron has evolved into smaller, more efficient, energy-efficient robots. Hence, these guys. They've evolved into more opportunities to sell different toys.
Perfect. They've become more American.
But then the premise of that show becomes, if we can find the Ark, we can change the past. So the bad guys are like, well, let's just kill Optimus Prime in his sleep. You know, so then like that was like a really kind of cool twist for that show, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, holy shit, like this is really cool, and that really kind of revived my fandom.
Okay,
and I have had an unhealthy one ever since.
Is it all just legitimate interest in the Transformers, or was there any part of it where you were like, I want to know about this one pop culture thing? Like everybody likes Star Wars. There's a lot of know-it-all Star Trek nerds out there where you're just like, Transformers is going to be my thing.
Honestly, they just kept interesting me. Like they kept putting stories in front of me that I would be like, okay. Around the time when they did Beast Wars, Marvel revived the Transformers comic.
Oh, okay.
And it was 90s as shit. It was called Transformers Generation 2. And they had all of these like Liefeld clone artists like drawn on it, you know, all these extreme 90s artists, and like it was like,
can you handle this many lines?
Yeah, exactly. But when it came out, I was like, shit, yeah, this is awesome.
Give me more lines.
So I was reading that, and then I feel like anytime my interest maybe starts to wane, like something new will come out.
So they give you actual content that you can spin around in your brain in your idle moments and like think about.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what is your relationship with the probably now more famous than anything else Michael Bay movies? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you love to hate them?
I really dislike them. I think aside from interesting stories, there's a lot of the things that I just love about Transformers are just the iconic designs and it's so colorful. There's a term for the setting that I love so much, which is 80s retrofuturism.
Oh, nice.
Which I only learned about because I was trying to give a designer some direction on a Transformer, something I wanted to look Transformery, and I needed a term that wasn't just Transformery. So I looked it up, and there's a term called retrofuturism, which is like, you know, if you want to tell a story that's set in what we thought the future would look like in the 60s.
Right.
It's like 60s retrofuturism. So there's something to 80s retrofuturism with like those Trapper Keeper lasers, and like laser grids, and like mullets and speed suits, and like, you know, like Robotech did the same thing. And, you know, that I just really love. Star Wars sort of falls into the same thing, like the future where there's robots but no internet, and you know, stuff like that is just I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the 80s brand, there's something powerful about it because it is the first time where our imagination of the future starts to get darker. Mm-hmm. But there's still something kind of innocent and dumb about it because it is like lasers. Like, it's going to be all lasers and sharp lines, and our hair will be weird. But there'll also be an apocalypse.
Which is basically the movie, the 84 movie, which is still probably the biggest Transformers thing, where it's like you still do have those dumb kid things. Like, there's like a angsty teen Autobot named Hot Rod, voiced by fucking Bender from Breakfast Club, and his like sidekick is this little kid named Daniel who has a future speed suit that has a D on it with a hoverboard, but coming towards them is like a giant robot planet that eats other planets voiced by Orson Welles. So yeah, exactly. You're like, hey man, the future's real cool.
Like, everything's not gonna be okay, man.
But my space mullet might be able to save the day.
So there's that little bit of hope within a lot of darkness, which makes sense, I think, for 80s and even early 90s. So do you still see the movies even though you don't like the Michael Bay movies? Do you see them religiously?
So I saw the first one and like walked out and was like, okay. And it's always odd to me with when you adapt these properties, like I feel like there are easy decisions that you make, and then when you make them poorly, you make your job harder. Like they got rid of the noise.
Okay.
The transforming noise, which is Transformers. Like, that's
Yeah.
the noise is the point. And so, like, when they got rid of the noise for the movies, you're like, why?
Why?
I
Are
don't
they
get it.
just
'Cause
that
it's like-
well-oiled?
I
that
guess
they don't
yeah,
make
it's
any
like,
noise?
because it's like, A, that's brand identity.
Yeah.
But also, B, the series did on a purely technical note, the series would do a beautiful thing where, like, they could save on animation costs because a robot could run behind a wall and you'd hear a noise and then the van would drive out and they didn't have to animate that transformation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, how much CG animation money could you have saved with a simple trick? Like an
Yeah.
off-camera transformer noise and then there's a tank.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I've never seen a movie that is designed to prey on nostalgia fail at it so poorly. I
Yeah.
did not see the first Transformers movie. I liked it a lot when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trailer's like, that doesn't look like Optimus
Yeah,
Prime.
they're
That
all
doesn't
just
sound
weird.
like Optimus Prime.
yeah.
And I didn't go, and I've never seen any of them because
lucky
they
you, man.
they missed the nostalgia mark.
The first one's like was bad for me because I was like, this isn't very transformery. Like everything's just sort of gray. All the robots just look sort of gray and
Yeah.
gross and bland, and it wasn't fun. And then the second one is legitimately just a horrible movie by like any standards.
Is that the one that has one of the Transformers being hit in the robot balls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Robot Balls one. That's when Devastator has balls and yeah, and then they've just been kind of worse and worse like ever since.
Yeah. And you know the personalities of the individual characters. Like, I vaguely remember Toys, but I don't remember. You know these characters well. So you'll know that, like, not only should Devastator not have balls, but that's not the way he would think or act or, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was really kind of silly because Devastator is the giant robot form of the Constructicons, which is they are these like lime green construction vehicle robots. They're like a weird sort of evil twisted science and engineering team. And the robot forms are really cool. And they turned into construction vehicles. And like when you were a kid, you're like, fuck yeah, construction vehicles. You know,
big, powerful
But then
machines.
they turned into this super robot. And for the longest time, Devastator was the only one. Eventually, I think someone at Hasbro was like, well, that sells well. More. And then it's like, aerial bots, technobots, stunticons, terracons. Yeah, keep going.
Moneycons.
Yeah, exactly. But Devastator was the first one, and there's this amazing moment in the original 1984 movie where the Decepticons are basically like laying siege to the Autobots' base on Earth, which is called Autobot City, which is near LA. It's in Northern California.
Okay.
It's somewhere in California. It's
Like Bakersfield.
technically so in the movie there's like a shuttle landing at one point, and Daniel, the little kid with the D in this hoverboard, is like, let's watch the shuttle land, and Hot Rod's like, let's go watch it land on Lookout Mountain, which is a physical street in Laurel Canyon here. So every time I go by Lookout Mountain, I'm like, why settle for a peak, Daniel, when you can see everything from Lookout Mountain? And then a Stan Bush song immediately starts playing in my head because I know every moment of that movie. What were we talking about? Devastator.
Yeah.
So there's this amazing moment where they're all just screwed. Everybody's basically just in this like kind of like last bunker, and they've been kind of throwing everything they can at the Decepticons. And at this point, Megatron's just kind of toying with them, and he's like, "Constructicons, merge for the kill!" And the Constructicons start forming Devastator, and it's this great, like, prolonged Transformer noise moment where it just keeps going as the camera pans up, and they just cut to the Autobots watching from this bunker, and they're just like, there's like real fear, and they're just like, fuck, Devastator. Like, they're so screwed. And then so you go from that, which is it tells you everything you need to know about the situation, about the characters.
Yeah,
even if you
the
don't know
noise.
anything about transformation, or even if you don't know anything about Transformers, you can watch that scene and be like, oh, they're terrified. Like, they're all going to die, because obviously this thing is like just a killer.
Yeah.
Versus the Michael Bay movies where just a bunch of just sort of bland general robots turn into a big thing, and then it has balls, and then someone kicks the balls, and it's, yeah.
And then one robot is walking around going, I'm the balls, right?
I guess, yeah, one of them has the balls. It maybe I guess Bone Crusher had the balls, the bulldozer.
The bulldozer.
He's the
has
only one
the
to me
balls.
that would be structurally sound enough to have testicles of that size stored in his body.
So you have obviously given Transformers plenty of thought. So I want to ask you some general questions.
Yes.
Have you ever thought for yourself, if you could turn into a car, what car would you want to be?
So a lot of Transformers fans are also then turn into like massive car fans, and a lot of Beast Wars fans are also massive furries. Fun fact. Which I learned from years on the internet role-playing in Transformers role-playing rooms.
So that is one thing that sounds funny, but is also just true, right?
Also, also just incredibly true. But I do like I like Alfa Romero cars a lot. Those are like cool, sleek cars. You know what? I'm gonna go Volkswagen. I have this weird affinity for Bumblebee.
Okay.
I just like that little dude.
Because he's obviously the Volkswagen, and I think at the time there was a little bit of irony to it that everybody else was kind of like this big, crushing or really cool car, and then it was like he was the
he's
more
like,
humble guy. Like, I don't care, I'll be a Beetle.
Yeah, he's like a Beetle, but then also he's like a small little like espionage.
Oh yes,
dude. So like he's and so like other comics and stuff like that have sort of explored that, where like he's this tiny dude, but that's brave and has a lot of heart, but also he's like this sort of like cool saboteur, and you shouldn't underestimate him.
Okay.
But yeah, I've always liked the small dude, so maybe him or like Cliff Jumper.
Okay.
Which is like a Volkswagen Beetle with a spoiler, I think, that's red.
What kind of car do you actually have in real life?
Oh, I have a Chevy Sonic.
And if your Chevy Sonic turned into a robot, what kind of character do you think your Chevy Sonic would be?
Actually, our Chevy Sonic looks like a Stormtrooper helmet.
Oh, okay.
So it turns into the traitor guy from Force Awakens. Specifically, it turns into.
I'm trying to remember his. I think FN 2199. I think.
Yeah. Traitor.
Cool. Do you think any Transformers would want to be Uber or Lyft cars? Is that in their personalities? Has that actually been in the Michael Bay movies?
Not in the Michael Bay movies, but you know what might talk about it is so this is what has really kept me into Transformers as an adult.
Yeah.
Is the publishing company IDW sort of revived the Transformers license in comic books.
Okay.
They were running for a while. I hadn't read them. I would see them every now and then, but it wasn't really like following them. And then they did a big event, sort of like relaunch, sort of like you can jump in and start reading here.
Oh, nice.
And they did something really interesting, which was they ended the war, which is the most simple idea.
Yeah, to turn everything
to
on its
just
head.
be like, what if the premise of robots that are constantly at war just no longer had a war? They ended the war. And then that was like the starting point, basically, for their new launch. So
it was like an existential crisis then for all our heroes to be like, what do I do?
So they launched these two books, which were called, now they're already different books now, but they're called Robots in the Skies and More Than Meets the Eye, were the two books.
Back to the basics.
Exactly. So Robots in Disguise is about basically rebuilding Cybertron with no war.
Okay.
And trying to figure out, and it's interesting because all of a sudden, all of these neutral Transformers colonies and stuff like that who wanted no part of the war and had like left are coming back.
Okay.
So now all of a sudden you have this place that ripped itself apart with like a billion-year war, all kind of like looking at each other and being like, well, now what? Like, I still hate you because you've been shooting at me for like a billion years. So it's like this weird political drama.
Yeah.
Like it's Starscream, the Jet Decepticon, who was like Megatron's treacherous right hand, who always wanted to be the leader of the Decepticons.
And he had a pretty famous voice, right?
Oh, he was Cobra Commander's voice.
Okay.
Chris Latta? Yeah, Chris Latta is, Megatron. Someday I'll be the leader of the Decepticons. And Megatron's like, you're an idiot. So suddenly, he's in charge. He gets what he always wanted, but not what he always wanted, because now he's in charge of like... just making sure a planet can functionally run. And he's like, what? So that's really cool. And then the other book is More Than Meets the Eye, which is one of my all-time favorite comics. It's Hot Rod, the Judd Nelson voiced character from the movies, who's this sort of arrogant upstart prick who's like very talented but thinks very highly of himself. Who literally in the cartoon, Optimus Prime dies and he becomes Rodimus Prime. He takes over.
That's not acceptable.
Which the cartoon quickly learned and brought Optimus Prime back immediately.
That name is not acceptable.
Yeah, no. But he like in this comic they sort of play with it, and he starts calling himself Rodimus. Like that's how much of a prick he is. And he's like,
I know you guys all hate
this. He takes a group into space because there's like a myth called the Knights of Cybertron, which I think the new movie is loosely based on. So he's like, these guys could like fix our planet.
Okay.
And everyone's like, it's a fucking myth, you idiot. And he's like, nay, I'm going to find it. And he's like, anybody who wants to go on a quest, come on down. And just every like idiot and just like shitty transformer.
Oh, nice. So there's a meta element to it?
Yeah, like joins up. And so he goes off on this space quest with just a crew of morons and psychopaths. And it's such a great book. It feels like if Firefly and Doctor Who sort of merged.
Okay.
But was about robots that turned into cars.
Yeah. And it had great
so
motivation
fun.
behind it, that they truly want to make something happen, something productive, something forward movement.
Exactly. Oh, so this was a very long way to get to your, do you think some of them would want to be Uber drivers? They started playing with the lore. And they started really like poking holes in like, why do these things transform? What does a society based on things that transform look like? So they really started getting into this idea of like, for a long time there was like a very oppressive government called the functionist government.
Wow.
Which meant that your caste in society was based on what you did. So like if you were just like a mining tank, you know, you were going to be blue collar for the, like, you couldn't like rise past that station. But if you were a microscope or something, you know, very useful, or like a very elegant war machine, you know, that was your lot in life was determined on like what you could turn into. So then there's like a lot of like weird little like black market, like underground, like, oh, I went to a chop shop and now I turn into like, like I went to like an illegal chop shop and now I turn into like a slightly working DNA scanner. You know?
I'm a giant hand that can actually hold Megatron and fire him. Yeah.
But so they started like really like poking at the genre and like playing with expectations. And there was to unpin our is he just a big torso? Early in the run of More Than Meets the Eye, which is just such a funny comic that has a ton of heart. Written by British writer James Roberts. We could honestly spend an hour talking about it. I love it so much. There's a great gag where there is a medic character named Ambulon, and they do a standalone issue. Who up to this point in the series we've never seen him transform. He's always a robot. Okay. And
you haven't seen him be an ambulance yet, even though his name's Ambulon, and you're like, come on, be an ambulance.
Yeah, you're a doctor. Your name's Ambulon. And they do like a sort of a one and done issue that's sort of like The Thing, where there's the ship gets infected and with this like disease that only if you're infected, it only actually takes hold if you transform.
Okay.
So then everyone's having to transform to prove they're not infected.
Oh, nice.
And Ambulon like won't do it. He won't do it. And everyone's like, oh, you're the responsible for the thing. And so finally he's like, fine. And he transforms and he's just like a foot and an ankle, basically. And he's like, you just assumed it was ambulance. It's a play on words to amble. I hate this. So just like screwing around with like expectations like that. He's like, they were experimenting with like a medical combiner and I was the fucking left leg, you dicks. And now you know my shame.
I'm glad we put a pin in that foot.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Sarah Meyer, co-producer of this show, and this week I'm going to be stopping people on the street and finding out how they feel about Transformers. Okay, do you guys like Transformers?
No.
Transformers?
Can
you sing the theme song?
No. I got no idea.
Transformers.
Robots in disguise. That's it.
What do you think about Transformers?
They were cool toys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Optimus Prime.
Can you do it? Yes, okay.
No, I can't do
Yes,
that.
you can. Yes, you can.
I don't know how it goes. And then I had GoBots.
Say again?
I had GoBots also.
Have you seen the movies?
No.
I know the Bumblebee What's the other big?
Come on, Leslie. Have you heard of the Transformers?
Yeah, but we haven't had coffee or Diet Coke yet today, so.
If you could transform into a vehicle.
A 1957 Cadillac.
I don't know, probably like a helicopter or something. That'd be pretty sick.
Maybe like one of those big trucks that look really nice, like The Rock drives in Fast and the Furious. Yeah, they're huge, but they're like dual. I don't know. They have like 6 wheels, and yeah, they look nice. You can go anywhere. Yeah.
So if you could have Michael Bay direct an adaptation of anything, what would you want it to be?
I guess another war movie, maybe. Yeah, he's very good with explosions.
If he was going to direct a movie based on your life, what would it be called and what would it be like? Michael Bay directs...
Life of Sheldon. It would be like a roller coaster because it's so up and down, up and down, up and down.
Any explosions in your life?
No. Yeah, pretty boring that way. No.
What about like emotional explosions?
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Transformers, all of each the odd. There you go.
We're going to move on to our How Obsessed Are You questions. These are questions I ask everybody, or variations of them. Do you think about Transformers every day?
Yes, for a variety of reasons. Like I said, on my commute every day, I pass Lookout Mountain on Laurel Canyon Boulevard and then recite most of the movie in my head. I have Transformers characters at my desk. Yeah, mostly every day. Like, I used to just, like, write my own little short stories.
Okay.
And, like, I would do, like, tabletop role-playing for Transformers, like, a lot.
Okay, cool.
And, like, run campaigns and stuff like that. And you never really stop going, that would be a fun idea for a thing.
Right.
You can't, like, undo that, even if it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, that would be a fun Transformers story. And then it pins in your head somewhere.
Yeah. So you just live in that world. Part of your brain is always at war with Cybertron.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, a part of me always has like that synth score from the 1984 movie playing in my head with like a hoverboard. Like my first stand-up album was drawn by Livio Ramadelli, who's a very talented artist and is one of IDW's Transformers artists. I'm very lucky to know him, and he did my stand-up album. And there's a really obscure Autobot on it named Chainclaw.
Oh, nice.
Who turns into a bear. Who, like, why would anyone give a shit about that toy? But I've always liked that dumb toy. So it's just me like posing with Chainclaw on my album. So yeah, it's very much in my blood.
I'm going to look up Chainclaw because I like bears. That's pretty awesome.
He's pretty rad.
Have you ever had a dream about Transformers?
I don't remember dreams all that often, but like it'd be weird if I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have, right?
Yeah, unless like if the point of dreaming and sleep is actually to rewire your brain and give you a fucking break from like your day to day, maybe not, because then maybe my brain's just like, ugh, can we just flush this shit?
Yeah, maybe your brain is
for like a few hours.
Let's get back to reality while you're sleeping, Joe. When someone walks into your home, are they able to tell right away that you're obsessed with Transformers?
It depends where they look in the house. My wife is also a nerd in her own right, but she's also, a very artistic Southern lady who likes to keep a nice home. And so we've tried to like give a pretty good balance of like, here's all our nerdy shit, and then like, here's our nice home. But if you like look in the right, you walk in and it's like, oh, look at this nice little like country and tiki setting, and there's the Transformers soundtrack on vinyl on that shelf.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you look, it's in disguise.
So you've sort of like done the Transformers version of Where's Waldo in your elegant home.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at my desk at work, definitely it's like lined with them. We just did a video about the trailer for the new movie, which was funny because the whole time I'm just like, this is garbage, this is garbage, this is garbage, and then but here's what this could mean, here's what this could mean, here's what this could mean, and citing all sorts of things, and then in the comments people are like, screw you, you don't know anything about Transformers, and I'm like, don't I?
You can go ahead and disagree with me,
but yeah, it's funny. Our boss Andy was like, I just watched that video, I didn't realize you knew so much about Transformers, and then he like looked at my desk and he was like, I should have known that you knew a lot about Transformers, though.
Speaking of toys, this is a question I have not asked people before, but I might start when it's applicable.
When you got a 7?
Yeah, when I got a 7. He's right in the sweet pocket. As an adult, would you play Transformers under any circumstance? Like, if I came over to your home and brought some toys, would you be able to play Transformers?
Oh, God, yeah. Even if... Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, I think even when I was a kid, a lot of my playing was just everyone gets put in a cool pose and then I narrate. Yeah, I was definitely never a let's smash these together.
Yeah.
And that means fighting kind of kid. But, oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. When you were playing with the toys, were you concerned about making them transform too often? Because I only had a few, and I was concerned. I was a very neurotic little child. And I was concerned about making them transform too often, that there'd be too much wear and tear.
No, I was not that kid. I was the kid that lit a lot of GI Joes on fire, and not a lot of toys survived. I had a little bit of Sid from Toy Story in me as a youth. The Transformers didn't get like the brunt of that abuse, but they got a lot of love. But excited playing. Yeah, okay. they got a lot of wear.
You transformed the shit out of them.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They were cars and robots often.
Have the Transformers ever made you cry?
Yeah. The point of the 1984 movie, so we'll talk about this on 2 levels. The point of the 84 movie was to clear out the toy line to make room for new toys.
Wow.
They literally do that by slaughtering the original toy line.
Okay.
The Autobots are flying to Autobot City on Earth. So the premise of the movie starts with the Decepticons have conquered Cybertron. The Autobots are hugely on the defensive. They're like hiding out and doing guerrilla warfare from Cybertron's moons. And then they have their base on Earth. So they're running low on resources and supplies on the moons. They're sending a ship to Earth to like resupply. These ships are crewed entirely by the original characters, your Ironhides and your Huffers,
and peg warmers at this point,
and then all the new characters, which they're gonna then move on with moving forward in the series. The movie takes place between season 2 and 3 of the original cartoon.
Okay.
The Decepticon, like just like in More Than Meets the Eye, Megatron sees the ship take off and goes, nope. And so they assault the ship and just slaughter everyone on board. And it's not like fun off camera, like kids. This is a kid's movie.
Walk up to them and rip them apart.
I mean, they just get shot to fuck, and like smoke comes out of their eyes as the glow dies in their faces, and they just fall to the ground. And that's like I've always associated with that with death, I think, is that idea of like just smoke pouring out of your eyes and mouth and then just falling to the ground.
So this is just like a ship full of Bambi's mom.
Yeah, like, and then Starscream's like, oh, now we can assault Autobot City in their own shuttle or something like that. And like Ironhide, who's like clinging to life, he's the van. He's like Optimus Prime's right hand. He's the stalwart best friend.
Yeah.
He's clinging to life, grabs Megatron's leg, and it's like, no! And Megatron, they do it from like Ironhide's point of view. Megatron literally like he has that giant cannon on his arm.
Right.
That's the iconic Megatron look. He just points the cannon like a foot away maybe from Ironhide's head and is just like, ugh, heroic nonsense. And then just fires. And like, God. Jesus Christ. And then, Optimus Prime dies like a couple scenes later. So as a kid, that wrecked you.
Yeah.
That wrecked
so you
everyone.
Wept.
As a child, I'm sure I did. Like, that made every child cry. They actually changed the ending of G.I. Joe, the movie, because of that. Because Duke from G.I. Joe was supposed to die in his movie. And then when they saw what they had wrought, they threw a quick ADR at the end of G.I. Joe, the movie, that's totally out of place.
Yeah.
That doesn't match what anyone's saying. That says, hey guys, I just got a radio from the hospital. Duke came out of his coma and he's okay. The coma was induced by being stabbed through the heart with a snake staff. So yeah, he made a full recovery. And then everyone goes, yay! And it ends. So as a kid, this fucking comic, More Than Meets the Eye, that's out now, is such a good comic. This relaunch is one of the first times I think that these characters have been treated like you would a human character,
Okay.
as opposed to like they're these big, ridiculous, high concept robots.
Right.
He treats them like people. There's romance, there's relationships, there's friendships, there's intrigue and betrayal and backstabbing. And one of the setups for this run, this is a little spoilery, but there's this Decepticon called Overlord, who was like this feared Decepticon general. The stories up to this point have built him up to be like, oh man, this dude like slaughtered billions of people, and he's horrifying. And they kill him. The Autobots finally kill him, and it's like, hooray, victory. But then you find out towards the beginning of More Than Meets the Eye that he's literally strapped to the bottom of their ship.
Oh,
and you don't know why. Like, he's not awake or activated or anything, but you're like, what the fuck is this all about? So eventually, of course, Overlord wakes up. And the comic has been slowly building to this, like piece by piece, and all of a sudden Overlord wakes up. And I think in a lot of comics they would then do, if it was a Marvel comic, they would do, here's the 6-issue Overlord Wars, where we do this big epic event. James Roberts rips off the Band-Aid and does one issue of Overlord just rampaging through the ship and just like crushing all of these characters you've really like just come to love and care about. And then I won't spoil the way it ends, but he just resolves it in the most heartbreaking way possible. And from the first page of this issue, I think it's called In the Cold Blue Light. It's a pop song reference. I'm not sure what it is. He's very big on his pop references. But I was just like, and Torlin's like, what the fuck are you reading? My wife,
right? Okay.
She's like, what are you reading? And I was like, it's cool. Pipes is dead. And,
it happened again.
It happened again.
Oh my god, I had no idea.
It's structured so well, like that the first page of every issue, they do sort of like a crew rundown with like a picture of everybody's face, and here's a quippy sentence about what they do. And at the beginning of that issue, it's not in the front like it always is. It's in the back, and there's just X's through most of them, and you're like, Jesus Christ. It's so good. Yeah. So as an adult, I have indeed wept for robots that turn into things.
Indeed, you have, and with good reason. A less serious question: if you heard a friend say an incorrect fact about the Transformers, would you correct them?
Yes.
Or do you? Okay, you don't let that shit slide.
Yeah. No, I can't. Let that slide. I'm not good at correcting sometimes, like even to my detriment, like on air if we're talking about something on like Screen Junkies News or something like that, and like someone's like pronouncing someone's name wrong. Like I never know how to do that on air, and so then we just end up with a comment thread full of people like, you guys don't even know how to say that name, you fucking morons, because like I don't know how to like really like do that.
It's hard to be the correction police, but fans want you to do it right.
Yeah. I get teased a lot by my buddy Bob because one day he had texted me. I was just like wandering around somewhere. I was like at a Best Buy or something. We were like Christmas shopping, and he texted me and was like, hey, my buddy and I were talking, and we can't remember the names of all the Dinobots. And do you remember them? Let me know. And so I like called him real quick and got his like voicemail, and he still has the voicemail, and he'll just play it for me sometimes because I sound so disinterested, and I'm like, slag, sludge, swoop, Grimlock. just listening. Just like going through, but I didn't like mean to do that. But
just like my friend needs this basic information, I'll get him this basic information that people should know.
Yeah,
that he
exactly.
Does not have. Nice. If there was a large bear blocking you from picking up the next issue of the comic book, More Than Meets the Eye, that you like so much, would you try to navigate around the bear to get to that Transformers comic book?
I'd be like, Chain Claw.
Come on, just turn into your robot.
Yeah, just come on, just step aside. We're all on the same side here.
So that's what you've learned from Transformers: is any object, any animal might be sentient, and you can reason with it.
Quite possibly. I mean, look, they turned into cars, they turned into dinosaurs, they turned into dragons, then they started turning into mammals and wasps with Beast Wars. McDonald's years and years ago did a Happy Meal set where McDonald's food turned into robots. I still have the fries.
Not right.
Like anything can be a transformer.
It's so weird to teach kids.
You can
eat our food and it might turn into a robot inside you.
Like you can point at anything, and to quote Mark Wahlberg in his shitty Transformers movie, I think I could have just found a transformer. Yeah, anything.
Okay, so you would try to reason with the bear, assuming it was a transformer.
Yeah, I would try to reason with the bear, assuming it was a robot, assuming there was something about it that was more than meets the eye, and then probably get revenanted.
Fair enough. This is the final how obsessed are you question. If you could not watch Transformers without you or someone you love first being punched in the crotch, would you still watch or read Transformers?
I mean, look, loving the stuff that we love, we probably took a lot of crotch shots growing up.
Yes.
Like, I had enough glow-in-the-dark 90s Jim Lee X-Men shirts to, like I've taken my share of crotch shots.
Like,
you know,
you've had moments in your life where, like, I'm putting on this T-shirt, and I know
I'm
somebody
gonna get
might punch
kicked
me.
in the balls at Crosby Middle School.
I got kicked in the balls at Crosby Middle School,
Look,
and all I got was this dumb glow-in-the-dark T-shirt.
You know, and now we're internet personalities, and we take metaphorical kicks to the balls in comment sections on a daily. You know, let's wear it as a badge of honor. I'll take that kick.
Right, you suffer for what you love.
Yeah. I'll take that kick.
Nice.
Let's take some semblance of when I was young, being a nerd was hard, and I will happily take that kick to the balls from some dude in a Letterman jacket.
Nice. I asked people to make a noise to sum up their obsession. Can you make a noise to sum up?
I mean, it's so I guess it's two things. It's either the noise, it's either which is hard to spell, or I guess it's you've got the touch, which is which you would know from Boogie Nights because that's the song that Diggler sings, but that is the theme song from the 1984 Transformers movie. It's an actual song by a guy named Stan Bush.
And it was written for
Transformers.
Oh, wow.
So he did a song called The Touch, and he did a song called Dare, and they are such, like, metal, glorious 80s, like, power rock cheese. He also did, he did songs for Bloodsport and Kickboxer. I don't know if you remember Bloodsport all that well with Jean-Claude Van Damme, but like when he's on the bus and he's like contemplating his life and like he sees a reflection of Chong Li in the mirror and then he turns around, there's like this song that's like, on my own, alone. Like that was Stan Bush. He is an him and then Vince DiCola did the synth score, who also did, is it Rocky 4 that's in Russia?
Yeah.
He did the score for Rocky 4.
Okay.
So those guys are really like underrated 80s.
Yeah, they provided us most
like,
of the 80s.
Yeah.
I have been rating people's obsession on a scale of 1 to 7. Come back to that. Yes! That is actually what I've been using. I usually try to give it some flavor, so I will say out of 7 robot balls. Those are fun. On a scale of 1 to 7 robot balls, I think you are a firm 6 obsessed.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think you're pretty high. Maybe a 6.1 even. Maybe going that high.
I'll take it.
Because
that's a good tech spec score.
Yeah, I mean, it has infiltrated, like Bumblebee.
Yes.
Every part of your life, right? Like, of just your imagining things. You get to deal with it with your actual job.
Yeah.
It's in your home. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It cannot be escaped.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can you tell people where they can find you on social media? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at JOESTARR187. Instagram, JSTARR187. You can find me on screenjunkies.com and Screen Junkies News. You can watch Honest Trailers every week. And then we've been doing this monthly roast series where we roast fictional characters. You can find those at screenjunkies.com. We just did the roast of Darth Vader, which is super great. I'm really proud of it. You came on, you wrote on that with us.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park.
Oh, thank you.
So fun. You can go to screenjunkies.com. It's part of we have a premium channel called Screen Junkies Plus, but you can log in with Facebook and I think watch 5 videos for free. So
cool.
you can check out the roast of Darth Vader. It's well worth it. It's it's a real good meat sauce. It's real good.
You get to see Joe Starr as angry young Anakin.
As angry young Anakin. I had a rat tail for a day. Oh, it was dope. Yeah, I loved it.
I had a rat tail for a day. The Joe Starr story.
Sorry.
So here's some quick plugs for the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram as @Joseph Scrimshaw. You can follow Obsessed Podcast on Twitter as @Obsessed Podcast. For info on all my upcoming shows, you can check out my website at josephscrimshaw.com. I'm doing a New Year's show at Nerd Melt Theater called 2017 A New Hope. So come come check that out. There are 2 ways to support Obsessed. You can back us on Patreon and get exclusive bonus episodes every month. For full info on that, go to patreon.com/Joseph Scrimshaw, or you can give money to all the podcasts on the Feral Audio Podcast Network by shopping through our portal. Just go to feralaudio.com, click the Shop on Amazon button, and some of the money will go to supporting Feral Audio. Now, if somebody went to Amazon, what is the best Transformers thing to buy if they're going to buy one thing on Amazon?
If you're going to buy one thing on Amazon, there's a line called the Masterpiece Collection, which is the real Spency Transformers, but some of them are gorgeous. Like there's a Masterpiece Grimlock that's amazing. He's the T-Rex.
Wow.
There's a Masterpiece Optimus Prime. There's a Masterpiece Bumblebee that's great. There's a really great Red Alert one. I would get one of the Masterpiece toys if you're going to buy one thing.
Cool.
Or I would buy... What a dick. I would buy volume 1 of Transformers More Than Meets the Eye and start reading that comic. It's you don't have to know anything about Transformers. If there is a moment where you're like, what? You can just Wikipedia it real quick and then you're fine. Great comic.
Awesome. I might go buy a Chain Claw because I need that in my life. These are the final questions. They don't have anything to do with your obsession, but they can if you want. If you could shoot one or the other out of your hands, which would it be? Fire or stamps?
I mean, the practical question should be, I guess, I was an office temp for long enough to know that postage is that's pretty valuable. Stamps should be good, but I gotta go fire. I gotta shoot sparks, just like
just like that toy,
just like Double Cross. Gotta shoot them sparks.
Fair enough. Your Transformers love goes that deep. If there had been a Transformer who shot stamps, maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe, and he turns into one of the actual little postage machines. Yeah, his name is Postal.
If you could
or Flat Rate. Oh, his name would be Flat Rate. Oh, Flat Rate. Fuck yes.
Is this a game that you play where you name Transformers? Yeah. Didn't seem like something fresh and new in the moment. If you could trap someone else on a desert island, what TV show would you leave them with?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's such a great, complete story, and it's really optimistic. It's really upbeat. It's really fun. I cried like a baby at that one too. I love that show.
So it'd give them a sense of hope that they could get off the island.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very kind. That's very kind.
Maybe they could start doing some of those earthbending katas and bend their way off the island.
Get bent off this island. The final question for everyone is, what is happiness?
I guess so for me, I guess it would be I don't know, just being a certain level of comfort with yourself. I was very closeted about being a geek and being nerdy.
Okay.
For very long, for a stupid amount of time, even as an adult, as a comedian. I mean, you know me now, and I'm nothing but pop culture-y kind of.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about civil rights, but we're going to do it via the lens of X-Men characters. But I wasn't always like that, and then I accompanied a friend of mine who was going to be a guest on Jackie Cation's podcast, Dork Forest.
Oh, nice.
Which you should also subscribe to. Jackie's a
love,
wonderful, amazing person.
Love that podcast. Love Jackie.
And I was just listening to their interview, and I just remember, and obviously they weren't dicks, so they just let me actually sit in and let me chime in every now and then.
Okay.
And I realized I was playing it sort of cool. Actually, it was about they would ask me Transformers questions, and I was like, I mean, I think that one turned it, and I was just playing it, and I just remember leaving her house and just being like, this is stupid.
That's awesome.
This is so stupid. It's not I'm actually hiding anything. My wife notices when I'm I'm just gonna look at these comics for a minute. Not that I really like them. And just being this is so fucking dumb. And then I think I was just immediately happier.
Yeah.
After just really letting that freak flag fly a little bit more. And obviously it's led to my job and my career and. Yeah, I think it improves everything around you. I think the people around you. That's why I love stuff like Dork Force and I love Obsessed.
Yeah,
this podcast is. I think the happier you can be with that affects the people around you. my mother-in-law gets to get a lot dorkier about how much she loves like Next Generation and Firefly now because we're nerds, and she can be like, oh, I don't really have that in my like immediate, but now I can like talk to you guys about how Comic-Con, like she's gonna come to San Diego with us next year, and she's gonna cosplay as Beverly Crusher and
that's
stuff like that. She's
awesome.
so excited. So I think the more confident you can be about the stuff that you like, I think that just spreads to everybody around you.
That is a great answer. Nobody has actually ever come on and said, well, a podcast led me to happiness.
I can back it, and you know, Jackie and I aren't exactly like the best of friends in the world or anything like that. We see each other every now and then and say hello. But yeah, I can really trace back to that one appearance while my friend Bailey talked about paleontology. I left and was just like, this is fucking dumb. Like, like life's too short.
I understand you like paleontology, but let me tell you about Beast Wars.
Yeah, which is, I guess, a thing I know about or whatever. It's something, I heard some nerd talking about it once. So the thing about Cheetor.
And it turns out the nerd was me.
The whole time.
Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. That is our podcast.
You've been listening to Obsessed. Joseph Scrimshaw and his guest shared some stories with the rest. Rate 5 stars if you're impressed.